if I live 100 years, I'll just never, ever be able to tell the story the way it really happened. These young kids who, you just run up to them, and when we were all boxed in, they were all around, and they were all over our perimeter, and we're throwing grenades, and I got pretty close, and just run up to one of these kids and say, Marine, we're going to get out of here, aren't we? And the kid look up to you and say, you're damn right we are, Skipper.
My name is Sergeant Lee Ernest Blackmon. I was born and raised in Georgia. I came to New York 1960. I was 10 years old. I grew up in Harlem and the Bronx. And at the age of 16, I decided that I wanted to join the Marine Corps after I graduated from Mars High School. And it was a decision that I made because during that time, the Vietnam War was very hot. I wanted to go there because I guess I wanted to make a change, a transition in my life. And I was stationed in Vietnam. I was stationed at Da Nang, Vietnam. That's what you call up north, it was the I Corps. But when we landed on that tarmac, when we landed on the base, I mean, it was like, I'm ready to leave out of here. Reality sets in. We're here, this is the real thing. There's no training, it's nothing to read about or talk about, this is it. We're in the belly of the beast. And this is what we had to get used to it. I was an 0311, so when I first got there, I was assigned to the unit as a rifleman. As time progressed, I was promoted to a squad leader, a team leader. I was promoted to a grenadier. A grenadier is a man that carries a little short M79 rifle, and he's the one they call grenadier up. Grenadier is the one that fires the shot to point where the enemy is located. Then I was considered, I was promoted to a platoon sergeant before I left the Nam. Before I left Vietnam, I was supposed to have been pulled out. For some reason, I was caught on the operation. And that's the day I got shot when the sniper hit me. And this operation was picking forest. We didn't know we was in a base camp. We was called, we was a reinforced unit. We was called to do a rescue for this platoon that was caught out. One man was caught out, and the sniper, every time somebody come to grab him, they would shoot at him. They would try and pin him down. And that was the most chaos I ever seen. That was the first time fear ever overtook me. Because when you don't know where fire is coming from, that's, it's a whole different feeling, a psychological change that your body takes upon. I was shot, sniper shot me. I didn't know I was shot. All I felt in my arm was like somebody had jogged me in the arm, and when I went to grab my rifle, all I saw was like the rifle firing down, it didn't move up. So when I looked at my arm and saw the blood squirting out of my arm, I goes into panic. They say shock, but when people see life leaving out your body, it's a whole different feeling. I mean, you go berserk. But that was a chaotic day. That was like, am I gonna make it? Am I gonna make it out of here? Because all hell broke out. I had given up. Some of my friends were shot, which you couldn't do anything. The corpsman when they mentioned corpsman up to do my arm, treat me, he was shot also. And the thing that happened is when they tried to land the helicopter into medevac me out the first time, we was positioned on a hill, and the helicopter couldn't land on the hill. But when the first med, we call them first meds, when they came, all hell broke out on the helicopters. The helicopters came in to pick me up, and they had to leave out. They had to go back. They sent in the Cobras. The Cobras came in, landed gunfire where we told them that the enemy was at, and they left. And when the helicopter came the second time to get me out, the guys told me, Sergeant, you're going home. "You're going home, Sarge." And I'm looking down at the guys, drugged up. I see the guys waving, the helicopter pulling up. And I felt bad. I feel bad up until now, but I did get in contact with a few of the guys. And I felt bad because I had to leave them. I didn't want to leave. I did not want to leave. But the first contact after that, I met a friend of mine named Larry First. Maybe, say about 10 years, I hadn't gotten in touch with him, and that stayed on my mind, how these guys came out of this, how they make it out of that valley. And when me and Larry first contacted each other, he said, "Sarge," he said, "when you left," he said, "you should have seen the fireworks." He said, "You should have seen the fireworks." And, you know, we glad that each other came home. He was the first that I spoke to. And I didn't write home that much, but every now and then when I write home, my mother would send a package to me. And that package wasn't only me, that package was for the whole platoon. Anybody that had a piece, everybody, we shared it. Everybody got a piece. Oh, we had Vienna sausages. We had maybe candy from America, good fresh Winston cigarettes, anything that we had, but maybe a pie. It might be a little stale or something before I get there, but it was home-cooked food. And that's what we shared. Everything we got, we shared. We were there as one team, white, black, red, it doesn't matter the color. Because when I get in that foxhole with you, I'm gonna have to watch your back, and you're gonna have to watch mine. And if I can't trust you before we leave out of this country, how am I gonna trust you in a combat situation? The war is over, and I'm still fighting the war. This is like a videotape. I see it every day. I think about it every day. I've seen a lot of guys lost their life. We were talking together, next thing he's dead. It's something that you can't forget. And they say, that's the past. It's not the past. It's not the past. Would you like to go back to Vietnam? No, I wouldn't want to go back to Vietnam because to me it's hollow ground. A lot of blood has been shed. My blood has been shed on that country ground. You know, that's a sacred ground where I wouldn't want to go. And this one here, this is the Purple Heart. God bless those that didn't make it back, and God bless those that's fighting in war today. It's something that you don't want, but sometimes you have to earn this unnecessarily, and you don't. This is something you really doesn't want to do. But this is the Purple Heart. Everybody not aware of the meaning behind it. They just see a Purple Heart. And this is the first medal that George Washington, and it's one of the oldest medals that he saved and gave his men on the ward. First I tell them, welcome home. And God bless you guys for the services that you've done for our country. And it's an honor for young men, as young as you are, to put yourselves in harm's way to volunteer, because during the time we were drafted. Nobody wanted to go, but during that time, they had to go. They was forced to go. Now you have a volunteer war here. And a lot of guys are volunteering for their own sacrifice for somebody else. And I honor them, I honor them. If I can help them out any way I possibly can, I honor them. The war is still here with us. In other words, we brought the enemy with us, which I'm talking about the enemy. We left the Vietnamese in Vietnam. And while we was in Vietnam, we didn't know that we was being sprayed with Agent Orange. And my friend Larry First was the first one that told me to get yourself checked out. Now you're talking about 15, 20 years ago that he informed me about this. I didn't know what Agent Orange was. He said we were sprayed in Vietnam. And when he said that, I can bring back memories of certain areas that looked like somebody had put gas on it and cooked it. When they sprayed it, it had to be a rainy day, because during the monsoon it rains, so it had to be close to the monsoon where it would stop. And that next day, or a couple of days, the vegetation would just cook up like somebody had just put them in the oven and cook it. And there was a lot of areas that we was in. But we didn't think about that. We wasn't informed. We was uneducated. The Vietnam War, they didn't educate us on anything. All we had to do was go out and kill the enemy. But we brought the enemy back here. And I'm talking about the Agent Orange. And a few months he died from the Agent Orange. It's another battle that many of us Vietnamese, I mean, many of us are Marine Corps, many of us soldiers, many of us that fought in Vietnam, we have to continue fighting. We as a nation have to remember the sacrifices that our young men gave, the families that they didn't return to, the wounded that came back unattended to. And now I look at the system now and look like the system is turning their back on the veterans. You got a lot of homeless veterans that shouldn't be homeless. I'll be saying, what's going on? Here we are defenders of this nation, and we're not being treated right. So our next generation that's coming up, what about the military? Will they join because of what our older veterans are telling them, what they're not getting? And it's bad to even think that way, but when something that you're seeing, I've been overseas, been to Vietnam. What I had to go through to get my benefits, I had to fight. It shouldn't have been that way. And men right now, from 45 years ago, are still fighting for benefits that they should be receiving. So I can imagine what the younger generation is going to. A high suicide rate. Why? When they come back home, they have no jobs, which they should have a job ready for them. Even the job that they left when they volunteered is not there. What I'm gonna do? They have a family to support. What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take myself out. I would like to say, for those who are serving our military, and the civilians here in our country, think first of these people that's defending our nation. You have to reach out to all of them. Give them a welcome home. Vietnam, we didn't get that welcome home. After 40 years now, we began to say, welcome home. Give them that welcome home. Hug these young men and women and let them know that we love them for the service that they're doing. The phrase for the Marine is simplified Dallas, always faithful. And we have our out call. It used to be gung-ho. Now we say, hoorah.